Because you know we can't have you as our mayor.
That's right.
Moves. All right.
I'll bring the moves.
I believe it. I believe it. You have landed on the Donna Show Live, where we are connecting you to people, information, and resources that help you live your best life. Can you feel the energy? Keep that music up. We're not done yet. Keep it up. Guys, this is what I live for. You know what? I told Monty, I'm an HR person who happened to stumble in the media. But guess what? We're going to live our best life every day of the week, Monty.
Absolutely.
Not one day, not 2 days, but every day of the week. Because that's what we're here for. So wherever you are, kick back, get your coffee, get your lunch. Let's move with it. Now, no matter how you're connecting to us, by radio, TV, or social media, we're bringing you the best information because we believe in living your best life. We're going to bring that music down, but Ariana Grande knew what she was talking about, didn't she?
Absolutely.
I do wonder what some artists are talking about or thinking about. I'm going to leave it up just a little bit in the background. But I do wonder what some artists are thinking when they write these songs. I wonder if she went through like running for mayor or something. Everything's going to be all right.
Mayor Grande.
That even sounds good, doesn't it? But so we have to start off with, first of all, extending some love and a moment of silence to Meigs County. Chattanooga is no stranger to tragedy and devastation.
That's right.
And I saw last night where some of the Woodmore parents, teachers, and administrators were talking about post-traumatic stress as they're living through this. I sat in my bed and cried, Monty, as I heard what had happened in Meigs County. So from the Donna Show Live, from mayoral candidate Monty Bruell and the audience who's here who you can't see, we want to just take a moment of silence. We're going to close our eyes with just some well wishes, prayers, love, and good vibes to Meigs County, their first responders, parents, teachers, community administrators. All right. You know, it's kind of hard to try to start off on a really good note, you know, and a high note, but humanity, that's what we're here for. We're here to love on people, and the Donna Show is all about that. So our prayers, good vibes, whatever it is you put out there are with them. So you and I are friends. You were no stranger to radio, social media, and TV.
That's right.
So one more fist pump to knock it out. So
let's do it.
I'm thankful for the audience who is here. You know, we put out requests and people come and they share with us. And we've gotten a lot of questions for you. So we're going to try to get that out there as well. But first of all, I've got to start off with just the friendship. I thank you for your friendship. I thank you for trusting me with having you here. As you know, I'm not into gotcha media. I'm not into that. I'm all about really helping that person be the best they can be. Right. Because my job is to make sure that you, the voters, have a true picture of who each candidate really is. You read a lot in media, and we hear a lot of stuff second, third hand, Monty, but my goal today is to make sure they really know who Monty is. We know he can dance. We've got that covered, right?
That's right.
We know you got some moves, but now I want to make sure they know who you are. So we are going to jump into questions very soon, but with our audience members. But these questions they're going to be asking are the questions that have come across social media and email about you.
Great, great. I'm looking forward to it.
I know you are. The good thing about you, and I will say this, you know, the past guest we had, Mr. Tim, you guys really are truthful about your questions. And I had somebody say, are you really asking them real questions? Yes. If you know me, I'm a redhead and I don't do anything. we love candor. We love radical candor, right? So first of all, tell the guests, tell myself, tell the listeners and watchers, where are you from? Give us a little background on who you are.
Sure. Well, first of all, I want to thank you and Marty for your friendship.
Thank you.
I appreciate getting to know you over the last several years.
Yes.
And we're just at the beginning of that friendship,
we sure
right?
are.
We got a long way to go.
We do.
So when you and I started dancing today, I immediately...
By the way, you don't only dance with one other man, which is my husband. Just make that clear.
All right. So I was immediately taken back to being a little boy going to Union Grove Baptist Church in Alton Park. And
nice.
my grandfather was a trustee and an usher. and he would let me stand in the aisle in the back of the church as a little boy, and when the choir was singing, I would be dancing in the aisle in the church.
Love it.
And then I would wear myself out, and the church would be packed, and he would ask people to leave so I could lie down on the back pew and take a nap. I promise not to go to sleep today.
Please don't.
I will not go to sleep today.
Shout out to Union Grove.
Yeah, exactly, right there on Highland Avenue. Yeah. So I was this little boy growing up in Alton Park, and everybody called me Mr. Duke because of Duke of Earl was a song.
Yeah.
Duke,
I know that.
Duke of Earl,
I know it.
Duke of Earl.
I
Duke,
know it
Duke.
well.
Yeah. So somehow that became my nickname, and so I was this little kid running around Alton Park, and everybody would go, "Hey, Mr. Duke." So that's an unusual nickname for a kid. My grandfather played Santa Claus every year at the Bethlehem Center.
Oh, I love that.
So I spent a lot.
Shout out to Bethlehem Center.
Spent a lot of time at the Bethlehem Center, and he also had this group of group of boys. And he took spare bicycle parts and he made bikes for all the kids in the neighborhood. Nice. So he was really active in the community.
Love that.
After Alton Park, I went to Calvin Donaldson Elementary, by the way.
All these shout outs to locals. I love it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. From Calvin Donaldson, I moved to City View Apartments in East Chattanooga. I don't know. I think just about every African-American person must go through City View Apartments.
I think you're right.
At some point in their life here in Chattanooga. And it was while I was living at City View that my life took this unexpected turn when I had the opportunity to go to Baylor School. So
the first African-American.
Yes.
Am I correct?
I'm the first African-American graduate.
Wow. Y'all can clap. You can clap. Wow. What an honor. What an honor.
So that's one of the reasons that I am super excited to be running for mayor, because we talk about there being two Chattanoogas, a Chattanooga that's divided, a Chattanooga for the haves and the have-nots. Well, we've never had a mayor who knew every neighborhood in Chattanooga, who could take you through Alton Park and give you a tour, who could also take you through Hickson and give you a tour, or North Chat. So I want to be the first mayor who truly knows every single neighborhood in Chattanooga. Not because I drove through quickly with my doors locked, but because I lived there. That was my life. Those are my people.
So, I like to say sometimes you know somebody or you KNOW them, but you KNOW, all caps, Chattanooga.
Exactly. Right. I do.
So you went to Baylor, all right. So first of all, what was that experience like? What year was that?
That was 1973. I entered as a 7th grader.
Wow, I will not tell you that I was born in 70. But, so in that, tell me what it was like. Give me a quick snapshot picture view of what it was like to be at Baylor in that time.
Well, Baylor was actually very welcoming. It was an experiment for them. It was an experiment for me. I didn't know what I didn't know. But I have to tell you, I was exposed to a level of affluence that I had never seen. I like to say that I grew up poor in Alton Park, but I was never disadvantaged.
Oh, I like that.
I never felt like I was without. Standing on the front porch of our house, I could actually look up to Lookout Mountain, and I could see the houses on the brow. And not one single day did I ever look up at those houses and wish I had one, or wish I was there.
Because you thought you had it made.
Because I thought I had everything there in Alton Park.
That is amazing. So you also have a very unique background in terms of education. So you left Baylor and then went to Harvard.
Went to Harvard.
Harvard. People like me just spell it and look at it. We don't go there. But kudos to you. But talk about that, and then talk about what you did after Harvard.
Well, so the Harvard thing is really interesting too, because no one in my immediate family had ever gone to college.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, and in fact, both of my grandmothers were domestics. So, my grandmother, cleaned the homes of some of the famous names that we have here in Chattanooga. So when I went to Baylor, people immediately started asking me, where do you want to go to college? And I'm thinking, well, I wasn't really supposed to ever be at Baylor, so what's the best college?
Right.
And somebody said, well, I think Harvard is the best college. I said, well, I guess that's where I'll go then.
Nice.
So that was my level of naivete.
Wow, though, but it worked.
It worked. It worked.
You didn't know what you didn't know.
I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know it was supposed to be hard to go there. I just said, that's where I'm going.
And you majored in?
Economics.
Nice. Well, that's going to help you well as mayor.
That will help me as mayor.
Okay. So you go to Harvard, you come out. Just give us kind of a snapshot of your experience, because I want to segue into some of the questions and really get this going. But talk about what you did after Harvard, kind of your background and your history as a business person.
Well, after Harvard, I went to work in Coca-Cola bottling and did that for a number of years. From Coca-Cola, I went to Marriott and worked there for a bit. But I was really wanting to come back to Chattanooga, because at that time, it was the late 1980s, and Chattanooga had just gone through this goal-setting process of Chattanooga Venture. I'm sorry, Vision 2000
I do know what you're talking
that
about.
Chattanooga Venture sponsored. And people were telling me, you've got to come back to Chattanooga and be a part of that. So I came back at this very exciting time when the community was coming together, where we were setting goals, and I wanted to be a part of that. I chuckle now when I look at the protest movement that we have now, because I feel like Chattanooga Venture really birthed this moment in time.
Yes.
Because until 1984, until the mid-1980s, Chattanooga council meetings, they were city commission meetings. City commission meetings. Chattanoogans didn't complain. It was like, well, those people downtown, the handful of people who run the city, they're going to do what they're going to do.
Yes.
And when I look at people actually voicing their opinion,
it's kind of big to you, isn't it?
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge. It takes me back to all of those neighborhood meetings.
Yes.
One of my proudest moments, I became chairman of Chattanooga Venture, by the way.
Did not know that.
Yeah.
I should have known that.
So one of my proudest moments was, we went all over town and we created neighborhood associations where they hadn't been, right?
I did not know that.
And one of the places we created a neighborhood association was at the Harriet Tubman Homes. It was the first neighborhood association in a public housing development here in Chattanooga.
Profound.
And giving people the power to say, this is my community, this is my neighborhood, and these are the things I want for it.
Yes.
That's what it's all about.
Yes.
And so if I'm mayor, I should say when I'm mayor, if you find me sitting at my desk in City Hall, I will be having a very bad day, because I want to be out with the people. I want to be the mayor for the people, and you don't know what's going on if you're sitting at City Hall.
You know what, and I love that, because there is two Chattanoogas. And I don't know if you remember, but we gave birth to Chattanooga Speaks about 5 or 6 years ago.
Absolutely.
So I like to say we were talking about race way before everybody got on the wagon. Now, for African American people, they've been talking about it their whole life. But Chattanooga Speaks was given birth because, in my personal opinion, it comes down to black and white. Now, we're not leaving out Latinos, Hispanics, or anyone else, but something about when the black community and the white community get on the same page, something happens, and there's a movement. And so Chattanooga Speaks was given birth because of two Chattanoogas. And we've had people on the panels ranging from mayors to Chief Fletcher to all types of people. But going towards the vein of two Chattanoogas, right now housing is an issue. It is a major issue. So we're going to ask this question, and we're going to go to our guest. We'll have Mr. Tony first, and we'll move through that. But the first question I have for you is about the two Chattanoogas and housing. When I see people saying, oh, it's affordable, well, it's not. And I'm just telling you, as a serial entrepreneur now, I don't think I can afford to live downtown.
Right.
So what are you going to do when it comes to housing? Because, first of all, people should just not have access to apartments and efficiencies, but they need to have access to brand new homes.
Yes.
So what is your plan to help make sure that red, yellow, black, and white, specifically African Americans, have an opportunity to buy their homes, own their homes, and be part of the downtown structure?
In most cities, and I think Chattanooga is no different, when people talk about affordable housing, they're talking about renting. But what we really need is affordable homes that people can purchase, because that's what stabilizes a neighborhood.
Yes.
That's what preserves the culture in a neighborhood. I look at parts of our city like East Chattanooga,
Yes.
where 65% of the residents are renters, and they may be able to, quote, afford that rent, but they are at risk of losing their housing because they don't own it. And so one of the things that I want to do as mayor is provide access to capital, create funds so that we can provide mortgages to people who want to own a home in the neighborhood that they so love. And that's very important to me. The other part about affordability is that, my degree's in economics.
Yes.
So the most efficient way to make anything more affordable is to give people more money. It's to increase their incomes.
Absolutely.
So we can't talk about affordability in Chattanooga without talking about income disparity.
Yes.
Because African Americans, the average African American household in Chattanooga earns 50% of what the average white household earns. And this is a pre-pandemic
Yes.
stat. Lord knows what it's going to be post-pandemic. I like to say in 1997, we started with the first of a series of 4 mayors that described themselves as progressive. And in 1997, the average African American household earned 62% of the average white household. And now, after all of this progress, all of these progressive mayors,
Yes.
that figure has slid to 50%.
We're doing something wrong.
We're doing something wrong. This progress is killing us.
Yeah.
We don't need.
Is it really progress?
Yes, we don't need any more of this progress.
Absolutely. Well, I myself, now, if anybody that knows me knows I would love to live downtown, but I'm going to keep my house where it is for now because I can't afford to live downtown. But I hope someday I can. We want to pivot right now. If you're just now joining us, no matter how you're connecting with us, TV, radio, or social platform, we are here with the mayoral candidate, Monty Bruell. If you don't know him, go look him up. Where can they find you on your website?
It's montybruell.com, MONTYBRUELL.
Go check him out. But for now, we do have questions. We've been sending out emails preparing for him. Some of you have sent some questions. So the questions that are about to come to you, you're going to hear them come over because the guests in the audience have those questions. So we're going to ask our first guest to come, say your first name if you will, and go ahead and present the question for Monty. Thank you.
Okay, hey, my name is Tony, and one of our questions from our viewers was, as you know, Hamilton County government took over the educational system years ago. As a parent and a former educator, we've always heard the city of Chattanooga say we're not in the education business. If you are elected as the city of Chattanooga mayor, would you be opposed to the educational system falling back under the city of Chattanooga?
Good question.
Thank you, Tony. That is a hot button for me because nothing gets my blood boiling more than when an elected official in the city of Chattanooga says, we're not in the education business. Well, we've got our kids that we're responsible to.
Yes.
We have an obligation to these kids to teach them and educate them. And we've set the bar too low. First of all, we have turned our schools over to the county. I would be happy if the county wants to give the school system back to the city. Let's do it.
So is there something, would you advocate for that? If it was an opportunity to put the question on the docket, if you will, on the agendas, would you advocate for that? Would you actually be a champion to make that happen?
Well, first, I think there's a process.
Okay.
We happen to have a great school superintendent in
Yes.
Dr. Johnson.
I helped bring him here. Shout out to Dr. Johnson. Yes, sir.
Yes. So I'm a big fan
Yes,
of Brian
me too.
Johnson.
Me too.
So before I say that I want to take the schools back,
Sure.
and I've said this to Dr. Johnson, I've said, look, I want to be your partner. I can't be your boss as the city mayor, but I can be the best partner you've ever had. And so the day after I am elected mayor of Chattanooga, I will be sitting down with Dr. Johnson
Nice.
and figuring out how we can make the schools inside the city limits of Chattanooga the best that they possibly can be. I want people from the county to move into Chattanooga because our schools are better than theirs.
Absolutely.
I don't want people to think about our schools as failing. Our kids aren't failing. We have great kids, and they
Absolutely.
deserve our resources. And as mayor, I'm going to give it to them.
Well, and our teachers, I want to speak to the teachers right now. I don't believe you have to be in the school business, educational business to support the teachers and advocate for better wages. But I'm going to give a shout out to CSAS, my son Mason's school. They were the top school again. You know, they were voted best of the best, but you got the high 90s of those students graduating from high school and graduating from college. And that does come from good support, good resources, good infrastructure, but it doesn't mean that we don't have opportunity for change. So I think we've answered that question. Great answer. I am glad that you are open to those conversations, and I do like the way you said it. It comes down to relationships. I say this all the time. Everything in life will fail or succeed because of a relationship. So I like the fact you'd sit down with this man, with Dr. Johnson, have that conversation, because really it's what is in the best interest.
That's right.
We're going to move on to the next question. We're going to have Miss Reagan come. Again, these are questions you have sent us. We're going to go to Reagan. We're going to go to another, and then our last, final, fourth question. Go ahead, say your first name and present the question. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Reagan, and as a mom and a female professional, for myself, I'm concerned with the best man or best woman candidate for the mayoral position in Chattanooga. But with this in mind, do you think that Chattanooga is ready for a black mayor?
Great question, by the way. Very bold, great question.
Well, whether Chattanooga is ready or not, thank you, Reagan, I'm going to do my best to give them a black mayor. So I think, of course, Chattanooga is ready for a black mayor.
Mayor, I'd say,
yes.
Yeah, we're open to anything. It's got to be the right person, though.
Exactly. What I don't want us to do is keep repeating the same thing over and over again. Why do we keep electing the same kind of person, an affluent white man, as our mayor, and we keep getting these lousy results? How many times are we going to be Charlie Brown and let the Lucys of the world yank the football away as we run up to kick it? It's time for us to say no. We got to stop this. Stop the madness. So I am the person to be the next mayor of Chattanooga because I really have the life experience that our next mayor needs. From the ages of 4 to 14, I was raised by a single mom. I watched her sit at the kitchen table and decide which bills were going to get paid and which bills weren't going to get paid. If you look at our households in poverty in Chattanooga, 2/3 of them are headed by single women. And so the reason we have never moved the needle on poverty in Chattanooga is that we've never had a mayor who really prioritized the needs of single mothers, their kids, and their families. I will be the mayor that puts single moms at the top of my list, and that's something that we desperately need to do. So yeah, there's a lot of difference between Monty Bruell and the other people who are running for mayor. We are not the same people. I am very different. I like to say sometimes we not only do we need to think outside the box, sometimes we got to get a whole new box. And I'm not going to accept, well, that's the way we've always done things. It's time to do it a different way.
And yeah, great answer. And the reason I like that question is because of this. I like to pinpoint, as a human resource professional, I don't care what color race you are. It comes down to the skills, qualifications, bona fide, qualified skills and qualifications. So to me, again, great question. Thank you for the listener or viewer that submitted that question. But red, yellow, black, or white, it's about are they qualified? But cities have had to look at the bigger picture. When you have females being considered for large roles now, which you've never had, we have a ton of African-American people now running for offices across the nation. I'm going to call it the George Floyd movement, but you know what? The movement's been here. It just amplified it. But to me, it's who is the best, most qualified person for the job. All right, we're going to go next. We got 2 more questions, and we're going to go on to some more focused items that I have for Monty. Go ahead.
My name's Heather, and I've heard there's 13 people running for mayor. How do you feel about that?
13 people. Well, let me clarify. First of all, that was a great question. But first of all, go do your homework. There's 13 who said they're running, but actually who have picked up their papers is about 7, maybe?
Okay, yes.
Maybe. I think
like
7 like that. So, again, I'm hoping everyone that says they're running is running, but until they have their papers, we're not really bona fide. But 13 people, what do you think about that?
Well,
that's a lot.
It's a lot, and there are a lot of African American candidates who are in that field as well. To me, it comes down to motivation. I mean, why are you running for mayor?
Yes.
You've got to really answer that question. I know that this is a place of positivity, the Donna Show.
It's okay, but we're very real with a dose of realism.
But keeping it 100.
Yeah, please do.
Yes, I'm a little perplexed when people who have been in positions of power
Yeah.
are now raising their hand and saying that they want to be mayor,
Yeah.
because you've already been in a position of power. You know, what have you been waiting for? I mean, what's different now? I mean,
Yeah.
we're going to give you a new title, and now you're going to become a different person. No, I say look at who the people are, look at what they've done, and look at what they haven't done.
Well, and that's what this show's about. I want people to get a first bird eye view of who they are. We're going to have all the guests. Every mayoral candidate will be here, but the viewers and listeners and the community want to know what's different. Then I also want to know what happens if you don't get elected. What is your plan B? Because in my opinion, we want to know that you continue. I want to know that you're going to continue your work with a mayor title or without it. So,
Right.
but I do agree with that. And, I have to say this, and it's not being negative, it's being real. But I sometimes feel like I'm in high school again with the superlatives. Best dressed, most likely to succeed. Go get your papers and make your best photo op and run for mayor or run for city council. It's not about that. And it is a lot of work. The fundraising, there's a lot of legalities involved that people don't realize in
Yes.
running for a position. There's a lot of qualifiers that you have to meet before doing it. But with 13 people, I do wish them all the best of luck. But at the end of the day, it's that sponge effect. I just want the goods. Wring out that sponge and hopefully the good ones stick.
That's right.
And we're good. But
Yeah, and I like to say I'm not running against anybody. I'm running for the people of
Yeah.
Chattanooga.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to me whether there are 13 or 30 people in the race, because I have a vision that
Yes.
I'm going to put before the people of Chattanooga,
Yes.
and I hope I can connect with them, and I hope that they agree with me and they want to support my vision. I mean, look at my website. Check out montybruell.com. I dot my I's, I cross my T's. I think I'm the only candidate who actually discusses real policy on his or her website.
Well, I can't wait because we are going to get into you compared to the other candidates, and I know that you're very verbal, very vocal. I want to hear that. We have one more question that is coming from one of our listeners or viewers. Tell us your first name and the question.
My name's Derek. Roads are always a major concern. What areas of infrastructure, in your opinion, are most crucial, and how would you address those during your first 6 months on the job as mayor?
Wow. And before you start, can I just tell you, I hate potholes. I cannot stand potholes. Go ahead. There's nothing like riding down the street and you just like, where's the money going? And I've seen more complaints about potholes and roads than I have anything.
Yes. So I think that for many years now, mayors and governors have been biding their time. They have kicked this can down the road because we've been waiting for the federal government to pass an infrastructure bill. And so mayors have scarce resources, have scarce funds at their disposal, and so they haven't wanted to spend all the money on infrastructure that they need to. So looking at the election next week, I know that the Biden-Harris ticket has said one of the first things they're going to do is pass an infrastructure bill. So I'm hoping that as the mayor of Chattanooga, the federal government will finally do what it is that they've been promising, because there's such a great need. The city of Chattanooga can fill potholes, but we can't replace bridges.
No.
Right? We need federal dollars to do that. And so it's going to be very important that we partner with both the state as well as the federal government to do that.
So how much money is in it? Like, do you know right now how much money we have in the city of Chattanooga to allocate to that? Do you know, or is that a number? I know it's public knowledge somewhere, but how do we find that out?
Yeah, so we've got about $175 million operating budget, and then we've got about $150 million or or so capital budget to make these kinds of capital improvements. So it's really just a question of prioritizing things. If we take money and we invest it in paving roads and filling potholes, well, maybe that's money that's not going to get invested in affordable housing, right? So we
And that's where city council comes in?
Exactly. Got to
we
work
put
with
this
city
stuff-
council.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So let's kind of pivot real quick. I want to go into another area. My focus always is jobs and workforce development. We've sat down and had those conversations. MSI is my day-to-day job, and I love the fact that we get to employ people and truly change their life. I'll say what I've said to you in private. You know, we're not a temp service. You know, we are a human resource and workforce development firm who offers staffing, background checks, payroll, all those things that, you know, employees need, employers need. But when it comes to jobs, a temp job is nothing but a hole plugged. But a job that leads to a career that's sustainable, that gives you benefits, and you take that money, you reinvest in your community is where we're going. But the number one issue, and I'm going to share this with every candidate, the number one issue we've had in question is, you know, what are you going to do? And my question is, are you willing to start at City Hall and make a mandatory $15 hour wage? Because when I pass by the public work vehicles, and I think of those people making $9 to $11, it breaks my heart. But there's also this part of me that gets a little upset about it. Something fires up in me. Talk about what you're willing to do there, because it starts with City Hall, and then what would be the bigger plan to make sure that we are helping to employ people with sustainable employment and livable wages?
Sure. So you must have been on my website already.
I've been there.
I believe that I'm the only candidate for mayor who has stood at city council meetings holding a sign with the members of SEIU 205, the local that represents city workers,
Sure.
demanding a minimum wage of $15 an hour. I absolutely will institute a $15 an hour minimum wage at City Hall. No ifs, buts, or ands about that.
I like that.
I stand with the workers. One of the problems I have with the way we market our state, the way we market our county, and the way we market our city is we tell the world, come to Chattanooga, our workers work for cheap.
Even our firemen and policemen.
Right.
I just saw the other day, some of them are making minimum wages and entry level, and we've lost 4 to 6 firemen in the past year to other states that I'm aware of.
Right. It is scandalous that we have sold out our workers this way, and that we have told the world, come here because you can pay us low wages and we will just be happy about it. We're not going to be happy about that anymore.
No.
Our workers are smart. Our workers are productive. That's why you want to come to Chattanooga. So I've got to give MSI a shout out, because you guys are here within the city limits of Chattanooga.
Hey.
On the bus line.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
people can actually.
MBE,
Yes.
DBE, SMWBE. You're right.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that shout out.
Yeah. So I love that we have Volkswagen. I
Yes.
love that we have Amazon. But we put those companies 20 miles from the urban center, almost to Ottawa. And the fact of the matter is that 35% of the people who work at Enterprise South don't even live in Hamilton County.
Did not know
so
that.
the taxpayers of Chattanooga and Hamilton County are subsidizing jobs for people in Bradley County, Meigs County, even North Georgia. We need to do a better job of negotiating those deals.
I do agree with that. And, you know, and I have to say I don't know enough about that part of it. I know when they were coming here, the excitement, the big ribbon cuttings, I know all of that. But my challenge is dealing with the individuals who are seeking jobs every day and dealing with the executives making the decisions. There is a gap of communication. There's a lack of understanding about what truly some of the community needs. And, you know, I'm in it for the people too. And when you hear people say, I can't find a job that has a bus route, the barriers that they're trying to overcome from childcare, different tasks. You know, mine was to take a stroller and groceries and try to get from one place to another. Some people were having to make 2 and 3 stops. It was crazy to think I would have to do that every morning. So what I say that for is, you know, are we truly making jobs accessible to people? You know, are we creating added issue to their barriers?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, I talked about single moms and how that's where the poverty is in our community. So the 2 factors that employers cite as being hurdles for barriers for people to be successful in the workforce. One is reliable transportation. So I want to make CARTA free to ride every day for all people.
You heard that, Chattanooga.
Because we can put up to $1,000 a year in the pockets of the riders of CARTA just by making it free for them to ride. The other thing is reliable child care.
Yes.
Particularly evening child care.
Yes.
That jobs don't just happen 9 to 5, right?
No.
There are people who work in the evening and people who work overnight, and they need child care too.
Yes.
we do not have high-quality, affordable childcare in Chattanooga. So I need to sit down with the childcare industry.
Yes.
And we've got to figure out solutions to that.
Yeah, well, something that you said earlier, and I'm going to go, you're not running against anybody. I want to give a shout out to Mayor Burke and Mayor Coppinger. They are friends of mine. I believe in them. I love them dearly. But no mayor does everything right, and I say that because some people say, oh, you drank the Kool-Aid. No, I'm just a big community advocate. But I will say, shout out to Mayor Burke because he did start something with the Mayor's Council for Women that is very dear to my heart. I've been a founding member since we started, and we've done a lot of good work. My question for you is, do you plan to, if you are mayor, I have to say that you say you are, but I have to say if you are mayor, will you continue the Mayor's Council for Women?
So I like to rib Mayor Burke occasionally, and I joke that no one can start a task force quite like Andy.
Okay.
But our job's not done when we start the task force,
Okay.
right? We've got a lot of work to do. So not only am I going to continue the Mayor's Council for Women, I'm going to give it some teeth.
Awesome.
I'm going to put that council to work, and we're going to solve some problems.
Awesome. Well, I will tell you, my teeth have been in it. I'll give you one of the most successful outcomes that I feel we've had. One is we've actually helped make legislation around check cashing because they focus on women. So I do give a big shout out to him because we've changed that. We've been instrumental. The other thing was family-friendly workplace, meaning we're a little more friendlier towards those women and men who are single fathers and mothers, but we focused on the women. And I remember the day we were at Blue Cross Blue Shield in the Hill, Monty. We didn't have enough room to sit down. And what it showed me was we need change for women.
Absolutely. So you mentioned check cashing. I've got to say something about
Please do.
payday lending,
Yeah.
right? The number one reason that a person takes out their first payday loan is because they get an unexpectedly high utility bill.
Wow.
And so I've already sat down with David Wade, the CEO of EPB,
Yeah.
and we've talked about how when I'm mayor, we're going to come up with a plan that will give people an alternative to how to pay their utility bills.
Love that.
Because we got to keep them out of that payday lending cycle.
Yes, and it's a vicious cycle.
Oh yeah. Once you're in it, it's hard to get out.
It's hard to get out of it, so I
out.
love that. So let's segue to a couple of other things. The pandemic right now has just taken us, it's like living in some crazy movie right now. And I do want you to know, he came in with his mask. We've all had masks. We did temperature checks in the door. For those of you who have kind of slammed me on that, it's okay. We're keeping safe. Pandemic has caused a lot of issues. I will say, fortunately, MSI has been strong throughout. We all went to work from home, but we have continued to remain strong. That's not the case for everyone. What is your plan to recover from that? And and let's say March is not too far around the corner. So
Right.
Two-part question. How do you plan to help us recover from that? But also, how do you plan to help those small businesses who have been just suffering from their losses?
Right. So we've already lost a lot of small businesses.
Yes,
right?
agreed.
Through no fault of their own, zero fault of
Yes.
their own. So what I want to do is work with our banks and our other financial institutions because we've got to bring those business owners back.
Yes.
And we cannot penalize them for what they've been going through during this pandemic.
Yes.
So we've got to have alternative ways of assessing creditworthiness
Agreed.
and helping those small businesses. The other thing that we need to do is we may need to tap into the rainy day fund.
Wait a minute, we have a rainy day fund?
We have a rainy day
Where
fund.
does that sit?
They hide it somewhere.
Yeah.
I think that when you're elected, they tell you where it is.
I need to get elected then.
at that time. But we've got, I think it's about $70 million now. We've drawn down on it a little
Sure.
bit during this pandemic. But I think that I think a pandemic qualifies as rain. So
Okay.
if we can't tap into the rainy day fund now, when will we be able to tap
Agreed.
into it?
Agreed.
And we also need to invest in neighborhoods. We need to invest in the arts. For example,
Yes.
I was at the sculpture fields at Montague Park last night, and there's a 13-acre piece that the city is going to vote on next week. And I would love for the city to give that piece or lease that piece to the sculpture fields at Montague Park, because people don't realize what an economic driver the arts are
sure.
in our community. There are 7,000 jobs in Chattanooga that are tied to the arts. By contrast, the city of Chattanooga only employs 3,000 people.
And a big shout out to Artsville, James McKissick.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Big shout out to James.
Yes,
he's
absolutely.
a great vocal person in our community. Not too vocal, but enough. But he is an advocate for the arts, and he's an advocate for, of course, the African American community. But people seeing the arts as a valid business revenue opportunity to bring people. That's one of the top 5 reasons people come to Chattanooga.
Yes.
Is the arts.
And there are creatives in every neighborhood.
Yes.
Whether you are low income or you're the most affluent, you have
Yes.
artists in your community.
Absolutely.
And we've got to support those artists, and there's real economic benefit by doing that. And as I said, I hope the city will do the right thing next
Yes.
week and will lease those 13 acres to the sculpture fields at Montague Park, because I think that is the highest and best use for that property.
Absolutely. I'm going to give a quick shout out to a few people. You are here live with the Donna Show. We are connecting you to people, information, and resources that help you live your best life. We are here with Monty Bruell. He is your mayoral candidate for the city of Chattanooga. We got a couple more questions to go to, but I want to give a shout out to Step Up Program with PEF. They are looking for mentors. We are mentors. I need to get you involved in that. It's only about
Absolutely.
15 minutes a week, maybe even a month. You do have to go through a little process, but if you are interested in being a volunteer for the Step Up program, really it's basically 1 hour a month, so about 15 to 20 minutes a week, maybe at the most. And the good thing is you get to use your knowledge. They're not asking you to do something you don't know. Like for me, mine is focused on careers, human resources, and some media. So if you're willing to give that time, reach out to Jeff Rector at J Rector, JRECTOR at PEFChattanooga.org. If you didn't get that, it was too fast, you can go watch the video again, or you can send me a message. Also, we want to talk about a couple of other things. Get out and vote, guys. We're here talking to Monty Bruell, so guess what? You've got 2 elections. Presidential election coming up, what day?
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday. If you haven't early voted, get out. But guys, we've had record numbers across the nation voting. It tells you where we are as a nation, but get out and vote. Make time, be intentional. We want to thank last week's guest. Of course, Tim Kelly was the first candidate on the show, but we had Congressman Fleischman, and thank you, Congressman, for your kindness. He was the man who kicked off the show, and I got a lot of heat for that. But here's the thing, and I actually got a person who commented on the show, and they said, ooh, Congressman Fleischman, yuck. Here's my response. The Donna Show is truly about everyone. And you can, my encouragement to you out there is you can be about everyone and still have your opinion, still have your vote, and still have your party. But the mayor race is not Democrat or Republican. Your presidential is, but this is not. This is about the human and about the person. But I need you to get out and vote. Forget what you see on the Donna Show. Forget what you see on TV, CNN or Fox. Get out and vote. Another thing, some of you are sending me a lot of requests about being on the show. Thank you. Thank you. If you want to be a guest on the show, send me a message on Facebook. You can go to the Donna Christian Lowe public page or my personal page. We want you on the show. We are pretty booked until January because we're doing all things Decision 2020, 2021. But we are going to have some special segments, which takes me to today. Guess where I'm going today?
Where?
Glad you asked. East Hamilton High School. Can we give them a shout out? Their girls are going to, well, they're regional champs, am I right? And they're trying to go to the state. And here's the thing. We've got to celebrate these young people.
Absolutely.
We have to. And I want to give a shout out to Mr. Brent Eller, the principal, and the assistant principal, Mr. Keith Booker, who also serves as their athletic director. They are really doing something right over there. So I'm going to celebrate with these young ladies today. It's just a special segment of the show. But if there is something to celebrate, please let me know. Like you said, it's good news, but it's real news,
That's
right?
right, that's right.
All right. And the final thing is, we are going to talk about Community Car Show Day. I'll be putting that on my page, but it's something going on November 7th for East Hamilton. I need to tell you, do you like old cars?
I love old cars.
I didn't used to, but I think I'm getting old because I love them. But it's a fundraiser. I'll put that on my page. The final thing, critical need. The school bus crash that was in our area, there is a need for blood. You have to make appointments. I saw a Facebook post where they had a line. I almost cried again, Monty. But there was a line of people, and it just reminded me of what happened with Woodward. There were lines of people. I remember my friends FaceTime Live. You know, we're out here, get out here. And you see me getting chill bumps. I get, because this is what it's about. If my son does not come home to me tomorrow, I hope that I've invested everything I can to make his life wonderful, but also that my memories are good. Think about the parents that have lost their child. What are they feeling today?
Right.
How can you help? You don't have to get on Facebook. All you need to do is give blood. Call Blood Assurance, 800-962-0628. You can also text 999-777. They need your help now. All right, so if you're just now joining us, we've got about 10 more minutes, 9 to 10 more minutes with our guest, my friend, Mr. Monty Bruell. He is City of Chattanooga mayoral candidate. He's been at this for a while. He didn't just come on the scene. How long you been running? How long's your campaign been up and going?
Oh, probably about a year and a half.
So a year and a half. And you know what, though? You have to fail to plan to fail.
That's
So I do want to give a shout out, and I'm okay with whoever came up on the scene last week or the week before. That's okay. I know you've got a plan of action. I respect that, but I really respect the planner. And you and a couple of the other candidates have been at it a while. So I got to give a shout out though to your beautiful fiance.
The lovely Amanda Nelson Varnell.
Say that 3 times real fast.
Yeah.
Amanda Nelson Varnell. So I love it, and I've seen you guys out in public. So shout out to her and your daughter.
Dana Bruell. She's a 5th grade teacher at East Lake Elementary.
Shout out. Did not know that. I've learned 3 new things today. But you know why? Because when you run, it's not just you.
Right.
It is your family. So I want to talk about what are they thinking? You know, I've looked at every candidate and their family unit, what they bring, as does anyone, especially as a mom, though. Talk about what they think about this. Are they support? And I know you're not going to say, "Oh, they're not," but what are the real response? What are they telling you behind the scenes? How are they supporting you?
Well, you know, as you said, when you decide to seek public office, it's not just about you as an individual, right? There are a bunch of people, and the most important people behind any candidate is that candidate's family, and that's for certain the case with me.
Yes.
And so. And you know, Amanda is an entrepreneur. She's a successful businesswoman, and so we both have tough jobs, and it's great to come home at the end of the day and to be able to support each other. And her kids, my daughter, they're all super supportive.
Nice.
It really is a beautiful thing, and in many respects, you know, it's certainly hard to do this.
Sure.
But I think it's brought everybody closer together.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So we got about 6 minutes on the show, but this is one of my favorite questions because it's dear to my heart. MSI was given birth by my husband, J. Marty Lowe, and a lot of people don't know this, but it came from his own personal, 2 things. Came from his personal experience he had years ago when he was in college playing baseball. And short version is, he went. His mom helped him get an assignment somewhere working at Duracell, where she worked for I think 26 plus years. And so he went in, and his experience wasn't that great. The person who was his lead guy or his person to help him, you know, tell him what to do, supervisor, just wasn't real nice. And he remembered that experience, and he swore he would never A, go to work at a factory, or B, that he would never work for a temp company again. Well, fast forward, he spent I think 12 years at that company and left on his own terms. He had a vision and because I was in human resources, it was a naturally organic progression. So he loved it. I, of course, loved it. He said, let me build a vision. So he came up with the vision of MSI Workforce Solutions. And I will tell you that the paraphrased version of that vision is, we are a bridge from the haves to the have-nots.
Okay.
And a have-not does not mean you're poor. A have-not can also mean I don't have access. I don't have exposure to the resources and the people, right? And so, with that being said, MSI is an MBE, Minority Business Enterprise, DBE, Diversity Business Enterprise, and SWMBE. So with all that said, it is important to me that when you tell me to do business with the City of Chattanooga, that I have a fair and equitable opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
So what is your plan to help small businesses? Because it can be a lot of red tape, and it should not be. And I'm not just speaking on behalf of, I know so many people, Monty, that have small businesses who are doing well, but they can't do business with the city.
Right.
How do you plan to help those small businesses and ensure that small businesses, especially minority have an opportunity, not just a seat at the table, but to sit at the table, do business at the table, and to make decisions that are going to impact positively their business.
Right. I've got to say that our purchasing structure at the city of Chattanooga is not very friendly to local business. One of the things I want to do is establish a purchasing preference for local companies. I go to a lot of city council meetings, and I hear, that the city is buying, 4 pickup trucks, and we're buying them from, the Ford dealer in Dalton. Well, why couldn't we buy those pickup trucks from a Ford dealer in Chattanooga?
Agreed.
Right?
Yeah.
So we've got to think local.
Yes.
We've got to support local business.
Yes.
The city has recently completed a disparity study
Yes.
that highlights how little business minority-owned companies are getting from the city. So we've got to execute the recommendations of the disparity study.
Yes.
And we're going to have to extend preference to minority business.
Agreed.
And then you mentioned small business in general. If you look at where jobs are created in the United States, the sweet spot for job creation is companies that are 4 to 5 years old and that have 15 to 20 employees.
Hold up. Say that again?
The sweet spot for job creation in the U.S. is companies that are 4 to 5 years old and that have 15 to 20 employees.
Wow.
That's who we need to help.
And I don't know the percentages, it just kind of left my mind. The percentage of small businesses in Chattanooga is it like 80-something%?
Oh, sure.
That we,
Yeah.
And I'm kind of envisioning, I'm a 3rd grade level kind of person, but I envision I'm on the Scooby-Doo bus and I'm the driver. And all the small businesses are on that bus with me because we got to have a sense of humor. But we're the ones really driving, and we're in the front because the small businesses are the driver of what we're doing.
Exactly.
So I applaud that, and I tell you just because it's what I do every day. I was a corporate girl, Blue Cross, Life Care, all those great places. Thought I would die in a foundation because I love predictability. I love to know what was coming. So when my husband came to me, I'm sure like you went to your wonderful fiance, and he said, got an idea. I was like, wow. But me being a Christian woman and a woman of business and understanding, I said, hey, go for it. I did it. I supported him. And in my book, he is a rock star because he is the visionary. He's the mayor of my life, and he's the mayor of MSI.
There you go.
So I really applaud him. And you know what? Endurance. I want to say you got to have endurance to go into business. You've got to. You already know about that. But with that, we are about out of time. Again, no matter how you've connected today, radio, TV, or social, the Donna Show is connecting you to people, information, and resources that help you live your best life. I want to give my friend Monty Bruell time to wrap up today and give us his final words. He's going to tell you how to connect with him. And I've got to take him on a brief tour of our facility here. But Monty, man, good luck to you.
Thank you.
But good luck. If you're prepared, you don't need it, right? Isn't that what they say? But give us some final words, any thoughts, anything I haven't covered that you want to share. You've got about a minute and a half to share that with the listeners, viewers, and watchers.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Donna, for having me as your guest today. It has been fun. And I would just like to say to your audience that we have a chance to take our city in a new direction. Let's reject the sameness of the past. Let's do something truly, truly different. There are 3,000 workers of the city of Chattanooga who are there to do a great job. They love Chattanooga, but they need a leader. They need a leader who has passion and who puts a vision in front of them of where our city can go. And as your mayor, I want to be the mayor of all people, for all neighborhoods. My emphasis will be people, families, and neighborhoods. So Monty Bruell for mayor, I won't let you down.
You know, I'll finish with this as we're bringing Ariana back into the picture. We got to be able to live, work, learn, play, and retire. We got to be able to live, work, learn, play, and retire in our community. So thank you today for joining us. Monty Bruell, thank you, man.
Thank you, Donna.
We appreciate you. And if you want to get any questions out to Monty, you can send them on our email. If you've received our email, you can send them on the show. But for now, We're going to go out and say everything will be all right.
Everything will be all right.
All right.
Let's do it.
Come on, Monty. Hey. All right.